Aaron Blake had never been the type to believe in surprises, miracles, or twists of fate. Life had been brutally straightforward with him. You put in the work, you survive. You stop moving, you drown. After his wife passed away 5 years ago, everything he knew about comfort and ease evaporated. He worked 2 jobs just to keep the lights on in the tiny apartment he shared with his daughter, Lily. His hands were rough, his eyes tired, and his shirts were always a little worn out no matter how recently he bought them. Still, when he laughed with Lily, when he tucked her hair behind her ears or listened to her dramatic retellings of school stories, it felt like life still owed him something good. Just something small, something ordinary. So when his coworkers joked about setting him up on a blind date, he dismissed them with the same tired smile he always used. "Aaron, come on," laughed Jake, his loudmouthed colleague from the warehouse floor. "It's been years, man. At least meet someone, talk to someone. You can't just work and parent until you turn into dust." "I'm fine," Aaron would reply, lifting another crate, muscle memory working faster than thought. "I'm not exactly a catch anyway." But the teasing didn't stop. It became a weekly ritual. "Aaron, don't you want companionship? Aaron, don't you want someone to talk to? Aaron, don't you get lonely?" Of course he got lonely. But loneliness was easier to live with than disappointment. Yet, on the day everything changed, the teasing wasn't just teasing, it was planned. The warehouse break room was unusually lively that afternoon. Coffee cups were stacked, the vending machine hummed, and the men were gathered around like kids about to reveal a prank. "All right, Aaron," said Jake with a grin too big to trust, "we set you up on one date. Just dinner. That's it. If it's awful, we never bother you again." Aaron stared at them. "You're serious?" "We're serious," another coworker nodded. "She's nice, smart, about your age, and," he hesitated, suddenly much quieter, "she's been through things too." Those words, "been through things," made him pause. He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "Fine. One dinner. That's it." The room erupted in victory cheers. The restaurant they sent him to was far nicer than expected. Dark wood, soft lights, classical music, like the kind of place people with savings accounts and gym memberships went to. Aaron felt completely out of place in his thrift store button-up, but he held his head high. The hostess smiled politely. "Reservation? I think it's under, Clara," he answered. The hostess nodded and led him toward a quiet section of the floor. There, sitting alone at a round table, was a woman in a navy blue blouse, her hair braided neatly over one shoulder. She was in a wheelchair. Her hands rested on the wheels, poised and graceful, but her legs were still, positioned perfectly straight, strapped lightly for support. She looked up, and her eyes, warm hazel, deep and steady, met his. Aaron stopped walking. She smiled. Not a pity smile, not a shy smile, a confident, knowing one. "You must be Aaron," she said. "And, you're Clara." "Yes." He sat down slowly, unsure, but she didn't seem uncomfortable at all. "If you'd like to leave," Clara said simply, "I understand." "They didn't tell you, and they should have." Her composure was startling, not defensive, not embarrassed, just straightforward. Aaron exhaled. "I'm not leaving. They shouldn't have tricked either of us like that." A small flicker of surprise warmed her expression. Dinner began awkwardly, but not painfully so. They spoke about small things at first, favorite movies, childhood memories, the weather, but eventually the conversation deepened. Clara had been paralyzed from the waist down for 2 years after a car accident. She didn't say it with sadness. She said it like a fact of history, something already processed. "People assume I'm fragile," she said, stirring her tea. "Or that I need rescuing. Or worse, that I'm less of a person." Aaron shook his head. "You don't seem like someone who needs rescuing." She laughed quietly. "I don't. But people often think paralysis means weakness." Aaron thought about the hands that had learned to carry grief while still packing lunchboxes, teaching homework, and holding his daughter when nightmares came. He thought about how many people had assumed he was barely holding it together. "People assume a lot of things," he murmured. Their eyes met again, understanding passing silently between strangers who had lived different versions of the same weight. For the first time in years, Aaron felt comfortable. He didn't need to impress her. He didn't need to pretend he was fine. She didn't pity him when he mentioned Lily. She didn't flinch when he talked about struggling. She didn't react with forced sympathy, only quiet acknowledgement. At the end of dinner, He pushed her wheelchair only after asking permission. She accepted with a nod. Outside, the night was cool. A breeze moved through the street, and the city lights glowed gold against the dark. "Thank you for tonight," Clara said. "It was good, really good." He found himself smiling. "Would you want to do this again?" Her lips curved upward. "I'd like that." She reached into her purse and pulled out a business card. "Call me." He took it. Smooth white cardstock, embossed edges, much too elegant for a normal person. His eyes flicked to the printed title. Clara Whitford, Chief Executive Officer, Whitford Dynamics Corporation. His heart stopped. Whitford Dynamics. The same company that owned the warehouse he worked in. The company whose executive staff he'd never seen. The company everyone joked had a ghost CEO. She saw the realization hit him. "Yes," she said softly. "That's me." Before he could speak, she continued, not defensive, not apologetic, simply honest. "I didn't tell you because I didn't want to be seen as a position before being seen as a person." He swallowed hard. "My coworkers, they didn't know." "No," Clara confirmed. "No one knows. Not yet." Aaron's thoughts spun. A CEO, a billionaire-level business owner. A woman who commanded boardrooms, investors, international markets. And she had laughed with him over dessert. And listened to him like his words mattered. And told him the truth of her life without fear. She looked at him, waiting, not for admiration or shock, just his reaction. Aaron breathed in, breathed out. "You're still Clara." Relief softened her entire face. "And you're still Aaron," she answered. But the world wasn't kind to things that didn't make sense. And the world wasn't going to accept this quietly. Because the very next day, his coworkers were waiting, smirking, ready for gossip. And the warehouse was about to discover that the woman they had tricked him into meeting was the one person who held every job, every paycheck, every future in her hands. And she wasn't done with Aaron. Not at all.